Hey, this is Alexander's Investment Insights. How's everybody doing? We're coming back with another video. Today we're going to be checking out stocks like the SPY, IWM, QQQ, SQQQ. We're going to be looking at the oil sector, the airline sector, the gold sector. We're going to be looking at banks, some defensive stocks like Lockheed Martin, some marijuana stocks like Sundell Growers, and some cryptos like Stud, like HUT, Riot, and Bitcoin, okay? So we'll start with the S&P 500 in this video. Today, the S&P 500, we'll look what it do down at the 1 minute chart. Today, the S&P 500 opened up at our previous resistance. So it broke that resistance, and that resistance acted as support all day. The high was around 1850, the low 1650. So that resistance that turned into support worked pretty well. So I moved that. So that 1750 is now a resistance since the SPY broke that. I added a new support here, or new resistance here at 521. And I still have two other resistance here. This 510 one I would only be expecting if we see like a bleed down day like this, possibly off some negative news regarding some war. Other than that, the lack of news in this week has just caused the SPY really to just stall out. You know, this bear sentiment looks like we're reversing up here to the upside. Just be aware that anytime we can see one of these really big green candles just off some like negative news that comes from like the world affairs. So there's your level on SPY. Again, we got resistance at 521, support 517, another support at 513.30. So we got IWM also breaking that resistance. So we're going to turn this into a support now, that 502 support. And then we'll move up this support right down here. I'll probably add a new support at 202. So 202 will have a new support on IWM. We'll see how that reacts. We'll probably want to move it up. 203 is a good number for that one. So another support on IWM will add a resistance up here. I could see the IWM possibly going to 208 on the upside if we continue up throughout the week. We'll go to QQQ. Again, broke that resistance. So now this is going to act as a support. And then so like you see again, it broke that resistance here in the morning, turning it to a support, and now it's stalled around there for the rest of that day. I'll move up this bottom support to a new support around 435.50. So 435.50 is the new support here, and I'll add a resistance at 444. 444 is our new resistance level. We want to see how price reacts to that. If it wants to keep going up or get through this next one, or what it wants to do, come back down. So 444 new resistance. We'll go to SQQQ. SQQQ broke that support, meaning if we came off that support yesterday and went up, we'd be looking for more down movements on SPY, but it came down and broke that support, meaning we're going back up on the QQQ and SPY. So I'll bring this support down. I'll see the next support around 1050. So 1050 is our new support. We have a target around here about $13 on SQQQ. If SQQQ starts going up again and the market becomes bearish, then we might be able to see this this target get hit again. All right, so move on to some main stocks. We got Apple here. Apple right at that support again. Hasn't really done much since that earning. Not much I see on Apple right now, other than it's just been stalled out and slowed for a while now. Hasn't created like many new highs. It's just been stalled out. There's not much positive news coming off of Apple, so you're going to want to be careful on what you see down here. I'm usually looking for downside plays right now on Apple. Go to Google. Google, in between our resistance of 171 and support of 160. Looks like it's going up to that resistance right now. We might be able to see higher prices on Google to hit around that high after earnings. So just be aware of what Google's doing. It came down, found support, and is going back up right now. So we'll keep those levels the same. Microsoft ran up to our resistance, hit our resistance, did not want to break that, and came back down. So Microsoft, not too much to do on Microsoft right now. Since it didn't break that resistance, we could expect maybe possibly lower prices down to this downside. But we're going to want to be careful because this really isn't like a large spread and a lot could happen in here. So you just want to be careful. Nvidia had a weird day today. It in the morning session, it went from 920 all the way down to 880 and then went all the way back up, came all the way back down. So it's been finding support like somewhere here in the middle here at 900. So yeah, so it hit our bottom support there and came back up. So we could like keep this bottom support here, keep this support here, and keep this resistance here because it hasn't want to break in this resistance yet. To be honest, it looks like it wanted to go down here, it didn't like it, so it come back up. So we're gonna have to see what Nvidia wants to do, if it wants to like come back down off of this candle or keep going back up. Tesla's coming down to our support here at 196. You can see it hit that on last Thursday. We have resistance at 191. I have this level down here for 150. If Tesla gets down here and then it builds support, I'm going to buy leaps for the upside because Tesla the last time it was down there was January 2023. Tesla's practically been in this movement right here for 4 years. We're expecting some upside on Tesla eventually, even though they missed a lot of their earnings right here. Elon said some things about some low-cost cars and that boosted the price right up. So it's finding support right now. We'll see how it wants to act with that support. Amazon breaking our resistance. We're going to want to move this next resistance. Looks like it didn't want to break this resistance today, this high from April 11th. So it hit that resistance, came back down. I'm going to add a new support here. I'll put a new support at 185, I guess. Yeah, 185 was a new support as well. We'll keep that other one down here, but we'll want to see if Amazon wants to come down and reach this support. Meta in between. Meta broke this resistance, so we could turn that to a support. Meta might want to reach up to this resistance right here, which is the low of April 22nd. So watch out for that on Meta. That might be high probability on that one. Netflix breaking resistance also. So we'll turn this to a support. We might want to move this back. We'll move this one. We'll get rid of this support. And then we could add a resistance now at this point. We'll add a resistance at 615, right? And we'll see if Netflix wants to go up to that price, and we'll keep these support levels right here just in case it rejects these prices right now. It comes down because it's already at a resistance, right? It's at a resistance. Well, it might honestly come down here, so I'm actually going to add another resistance where it's currently at right now, and we'll see what it wants to do. All right, we'll go through some stocks like AMD. AMD building support right here since it broke that resistance. It might come back down, though. We don't know if this is a just small chase back to the upper side. I'm going to keep this as resistance because it might come back down, hit our support. Not much to do on AMC, really. It's just been coming down for the last few months. Intel also has just been taking major dumps in between our resistance and our support. Not much to do on that one. Disney coming up. They had earnings. So Disney did not do good on earnings. We're going to have to move down our support and take off some supports and build our new resistance. Looks like our new resistance level is, we'll have a resistance level at 108.80. 108.80 is our new resistance level. I'm expecting Disney to come down a little bit, hit our support, and then maybe go into higher prices. We'll see how it wants to do with that. We got Dell at that resistance and in between our support. Not much to do right now on Dell. Nike asking off that support, hasn't wanted to break this support where Nike's at pretty low prices now. You know, we want to see Nike to the higher prices eventually. We're going to be loading up on leap calls soon whenever Nike confirms more towards this upper side. See, you have a target here at 102. So we want to see Nike break this resistance, get that target, break that target. Maybe around next earnings, we can see Nike shooting up. And SMCI, we have a pretty big zone right here between resistance and support. Let me zoom in. Hasn't wanted to break this support. Even off of earnings, it came down, hit that support, went right back up. So So there's not much to do really on SMCI right now. I do see another resistance right there at 870. So we'll want to see if SMCI could come up and tap that 870. And if it could break it, then we'll see more upside to around 1020. All right, and we'll go on to the AI sector. Stocks like Palantir. Palantir had earnings yesterday, and they dropped a lot of earnings right down to our support. And our support, it held out our support. So we're going to keep that support there, have our resistance still right around here. We might have another resistance at $23. We'll see how Palantir reacts off that. Then we have Taiwan's semiconductors holding our support, coming right back up. Looks like it's at a resistance right now. I'll put another resistance somewhere around 840. We'll move it to 845. 845 is another resistance. Might be able to pull down here, tap that resistance, and come back down to support. We'll see how that wants to go. And then we have C3AI between our support and resistance. Not much to do right here. We're seeing some like upwards movements, probably off a retracement from these down movements. And they have earnings, so it's like halfway between last earnings and earnings. Just be careful with that one. We have Sound AI having earnings on Thursday. Retracing back up just like C3. So we'll want to be careful with this, especially because the earnings are closer. But right now, I'm kind of bullish on AI. This might actually hit our next resistance. We're going to have to see how that reacts. Symbiotic had earnings last night also, and they went up off their earnings, right? Went up from $41 to $48. So that's a good sign for them, and it might be sounding of what Sound wants to do possibly, but we're gonna have to see how that reacts. Right now, there's really not much to do. It's just been trading sideways for a long time. We'll go to the oil sector. For the oil sector, I like to watch Oxy. See, a lot of these sectors, you could just pick one stock to watch for the whole sector, and for the oil, I like Oxy. They do have earnings tomorrow, so we'll see how price might shoot all the way up. They don't move a ton off of earnings, honestly, but it could go up a considerable amount, or it might break the support and have us back down to the downside. But right now, it's sticking at our support. We have resistance up here at $70. We're going to want to wait till earnings to see the levels we have for that. And then we'll go to the airline sector. This is Boeing. Boeing hit our resistance, coming back down. Probably going to reach our support again. Is what Boeing likes to do. Boeing likes to move in like big movements, like big movement up, big movement down, big movement down, big movement up, big movement down. It's a very fast mover with like certain direction when it has it. So we're gonna have to want to wait on Boeing. There's not much to do in Boeing right now. UAL hit our resistance yesterday. It's also kind of stalled right now. They had that big run after their earnings and then just stalled out at that top right there. There's not much to do there. We'll just watch what it does around our supports and resistance if it wants to keep pushing to higher prices. And then we'll go to the gold sector. This is Barak Gold. Barak Gold, not really much to do here right now. It's just stuck between our resistance and support. Not really much to do. We'll go to the banking sector then with Bank of America. Bank of America, it's been pushing recently. It's been stalled out here. This was a high, and it hasn't been able to quite break that, but we're going up to that again, approaching it. So the resistance at 38, support at 37. Banks are slow movers, but it's a good, you can get, decent gains there. You think you're confident that the banks are going to go up this next 2 quarters, right? You could buy leap calls around here, and then 2 quarters, 1 quarter go by, you're up a good amount if you bought the right contracts, right? So that's it for Bank of America. JP Morgan stalled at our resistance. Goldman Sachs going up. There's not really much to do because they're at all-time highs, so you just want to be aware of that. PayPal stuck between our resistance and support. Hood has earnings tomorrow, so we want to see how Hood does. Hood might do good for earnings because of all of the influxes. When Bitcoin was going up, a lot more people are putting their money into brokerages like Hood and Coinbase. So you want to see how those react off of earnings. Are we going to see those revenues in their earnings? Will they shoot up if they have good revenues and good earnings per share? That's a good way to look at it. So right now we only have a support. I'll say our resistance is this high, 250. If they have good earnings, they could shoot up to this 250 here and then stall out again, right? Or they may go higher. But that's it for Hood. We'll go to Visa right quick. Visa just coming down, you know, there's not really much to do here. I have a short-term resistance at 25.50. And there's not really much else to do on Visa. In terms of that, we'll go to the defense sector. This is Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin, you're gonna want to look at like that in Northrop Grumman situation, especially when there's wars going on and like a lot of like conflicts that are in the news. These stocks like to go up because they're suppliers of those guns. They're suppliers of a lot of military equipment. So you're going to want to. It's a slow mover, but these things can move in times of conflict, and they're a good like hedge against the market because the SPY wants to go down in times of like distress like that. But right now it's just has a resistance right here. It's been stalled at this resistance for quite some time, so we're gonna want to see if we could actually break this. Is a pretty heavy resistance. Then we have more resistance up here, so we're gonna want to watch out for the news and things like that to see what those defensive stocks wants to do. We'll go to the marijuana sector. We have Sundell Growers. Sundell Growers having some pretty decent movings recently. We have a resistance right here. We actually called this. We knew it was going to come back up here after it held our resistance. It did not break this resistance of 180, and it came back up, hit that support, and it's going to be stalled between these two areas because they do have earnings once again on Thursday, and we'll see how price wants to react to that earnings call. A lot of these marijuana stocks shooting up like this comes from government news. I think the government is like being more light on criminal punishments or something about decriminalizing marijuana, which is a good thing in my perspective, and these stocks definitely reflected that. So make sure you just keep your eye on that. I like Cron and Sundale right now. Those are the top two I'm looking at. I also have my eye on Tilray a bit, but that's kind of far from support. Might actually want to come down here. It's also holding this support right here. So actually, I'll put another support on Tilray right there. All right. And then what else do we got? We'll look at some stocks that y'all want me to look at. We have Snapchat right here at its resistance. We're going to see if it wants to break this resistance. If Snapchat could break this resistance right here, we could see Snapchat to higher prices up to 20. And if it could break 20, we could see Snapchat up somewhere up to $28. All in a short amount of time. This might move fast considering if it could break this heavy resistance right here. And we'll go to Starbucks. Starbucks has been struggling recently, right? Starbucks is really, they're not super low, but they're at this support right here. And off this earnings, they dropped a lot. There's been boycotts with stuff at Starbucks and going on. Not much good news with Starbucks. But when things are down here, and then they start actually, the bad news dies off and they start going up, that's the time to buy. We want to buy stocks when they are hurting, when they are down, because that gives us more potential for the upside, right? Great. Lucid, I actually played Lucid earnings last night. I called a put on them off of earnings because I saw no reason that should go up. The fact that Tesla missed all of its revenues and earnings per share would probably mean that Lucid and Rivian are not going to do good on their earnings either. So I bought puts here at the end of market, and it closed down here at today at 260. So that was a good call out. You gotta know the sentiment in the market. A lot of these companies move off of what other companies in their industry do, right? So Tesla didn't do good. I didn't think Lucid would do good because Lucid is a much smaller car company than Tesla, and they're operating in the same industry, electric cars. So we'll go on to Costco. Costco breaking our resistance. That means we have another resistance. We can move up our resistance right here. I'm expecting Costco to break this resistance, to actually go up and hit this resistance at 185. And I'm going to keep this support right here because this is a pretty good support. But yeah, watch out for Costco moving to higher prices. And then really quickly, we'll do Shopify. Earnings tomorrow. Don't know what it's going to do for earnings. It could come down. It could go up. They do move quite a lot, though, off of their earnings. So you're going to want to watch out for that. Right now, it's just stalled in between our support and resistance. What else? DJT stalled right now. Nothing you really do there. Bitcoin. All right, let's go to the Bitcoin sector. Bitcoin stalled at our support at 63,000. Bitcoin's been stalled ever since early March. You know, it's just been going up and down through here, and the Bitcoin halving happened around here in 420. So we're gonna keep our eye on Bitcoin. If this support breaks, we could see another drop down here to this low again, another support around 56,500. So we're gonna want to see how that reacts. Right now, I'm thinking this is gonna go down. You know, Bitcoin, there's not a lot of upward movement we've seen. It's been stalled for a while. So we want to see how that halving reacts in the future. But for right now, Bitcoin's pretty stalled right now, and there's not much you could do. And if you're watching Bitcoin, you're going to want to watch stocks like Solana, stocks like Cardano, ApeCoin, and Dogecoin. All these coins will, and Ethereum, all these coins will maybe pretty much mimic Bitcoin. If Bitcoin keeps going up to the other side, up the upper side, these altcoins will also go up with it. So that's just a little market analysis I got for you guys there. Thank you for staying with me. Make sure you watch the SPY tomorrow. This is going to help you a lot in your trading career, right? We're going to want to see how it reacts off of this support/resistance. Is it going to go up to this next resistance, or is it going to act as a support and we're going to bring down the lower prices? We're just going to want to be careful, okay? But other than that, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. None of this is financial advice. I do not recommend you trade anything you see here in the video. Other than that, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.